Hello, and welcome to Emmerson Transport's Health and Safety Induction. Emmerson Transport Limited was founded by the Emmerson family in 1977 and started by transporting produce from the family's farm. From there, ETL grew year on year and is now a 24/7 nationwide business employing over 150 employees across New Zealand. While transport has been at the core of the business, Emmerson Transport has always believed its people and their safety as our most important priority. Emmerson Transport operates 5 guiding principles. These are safety, service, professionalism, respect, and pride. The most important of these is, of course, safety. Of course, with safety comes hazards and risks. What is a hazard? A hazard is anything that can cause harm, such as chemicals, electricity, ladders, and so on. Risk is how great the chance that someone will be harmed by that hazard. The transport and freight business is one of the most dangerous in New Zealand. There are many hazards like large trucks, cars, moving vehicles, and other mobile plant, working at height, weather conditions, and of course people. Added into the mix, the pressure of getting freight delivered on time means that we are working in a very high risk industry. We need to make sure we work safely, and anything we do or do not do does not impact the safety of ourselves or anyone else. Today's induction will cover off how we can work safely and ensure the safety of others. We also have a legal obligation to work safely under the law, and Emmerson Transport has a legal obligation to provide a safe workplace. We need to make sure we work together to make this happen. The danger to you, especially if you're a driver, is quite real. In 2019, a number of drivers were killed in the workplace, either falling from heights, being struck by moving vehicles, or activities around forklifts. There are also a number of non-fatal accidents and serious injuries that can occur, as by the photos in the background of this shot. The basics. Always report hazards to your supervisor and manager immediately. This way we can manage those hazards and risks by identifying them, acting to either eliminate or minimize them, and monitor our systems and reporting to make sure that these actions are working. Remember, you are responsible for your safety and the safety of others. Speak up and take action if you see somebody working unsafely. Do not accept unsafe work behaviors. Be a leader in health and safety. Look after yourself and your mate. Always report accidents, incidences, and near misses immediately. If we don't know about them, how can we fix the problem? Our significant hazards are driving, traffic, mobile plant and forklifts, loading and unloading of trucks, curtains on trucks, curtain poles and roof supports, the throwing of chains. On this list, you'll see the controls and potential consequences of these hazards. To manage the hazards and both dangers that you are exposed to, Emmerson Transport uses the hierarchy of controls, as seen here. The hierarchy of controls, first layer is to either eliminate or substitute the hazard or risky behavior for something else. We then move on to either isolating that kind of activity or put in something like an engineering control or barrier to protect people from that hazard before the last layer, which will be administrative controls or PPE. The next few slides, we're going to cover those significant hazards and what to do about them when either A, you're in our yard, or B, you're visiting a site that doesn't have any of its own rules. There are no-go zones for mobile plant and forklifts. When a truck is loading or unloading, avoid going into the indicated zones as shown on the diagram. Never enter in any area that is blocked off by barriers or cones unless invited to do so by the forklift driver. Ultimately, you and the forklift driver are responsible for the safety of what happens in these zones. Curtains, load security, and falling freight. When opening your curtains, take time to check for loose freight, as falling freight is a real danger. The use of a hard hat can help us reduce the risk of injuries should we have freight falling out onto you. While securing your loads, make sure you use the appropriate load restraints or see the official New Zealand Truck Loading Code for more information. If unsure, ask. Curtain poles are a real danger and a hazard. It's important that you secure your curtain poles so they do not strike you or anyone else in the area. This video is an example of how to do that. Some of the freight that we secure requires chains to tie it down. The throwing of chains can lead to serious injuries, and so to avoid that, we have a tool known as the toss and tie ball. You attach it to the end of the chain and throw it over the freight. This saves you the need to throw the chain over. You can then pull it over, making the process a lot easier and reducing the risk to yourself. There are many other types of hazards out there, and you can reduce the chance of harm to yourself by checking your truck is in a safe working order by completing daily checks and reporting all defects so they can be addressed. Drive to the conditions. Make sure you are rested and fresh to work. Do not breach logbook regulations and do not go over your hours. Take your breaks as required. Always wear your seatbelt and do not speed. Be alert at all times. New Zealand roads are dangerous and difficult. Do not at any time use your mobile phone or other mobile devices while driving. Many accidents are caused by distraction when using phones. Only trained and competent forklift drivers to load and unload vehicles. Ladders maintain 3 points of contact at all times. Ensure the truck is clear of people, debris before loading and unloading. Always question people moving around the depot and behaving unsafely. Be aware always of people in the depot and know where they are at all times. DriveCam eRoad. These in-cab systems help with managing the safety of our drivers on the road, as well as helping our managers allocate resources, such as trucks and drivers, to meet customer demands. These systems have cameras both in the cab and outside the cabs to monitor driver distractions, speed, and any fatigue. They are an important safety tool. Do not tamper with them. eRoad logbooks. Drivers are required by law to keep a logbook, and our logbooks are on eRoad. You will be trained on the use of these eRoad logbooks, but usual logbook rules apply. This information is also used for your pay, so it is important they are accurate and you take your breaks when required. Driver fatigue. In 2020, fatigue was a factor in 21 fatal crashes and 113 serious injury crashes. These crashes are usually the most serious because the driver does not brake before colliding with the other object. The freight industry is deadline driven and extremely busy. Managing fatigue in this environment is critical. Being a professional commercial driver, in particular if you're doing shift work or night work, means you will need to manage your fatigue, both for yourself and other road users. This is how. Be rested and fresh for work. Get enough sleep. Follow all logbook requirements for drivers, breaks and maximum times for driving. Fatigue affects your attention on the road and affects your decision making. If you feel tired or nodding off, pull over and have a micro nap. Call your dispatcher immediately. Look after your health and fitness levels. Drink lots of water and be mindful of shift changes that will affect your fatigue levels. Be aware of health issues that may affect your fatigue levels. Traffic rules for ETL sites. When driving on site, your lights must be on. When reversing, you must turn on your hazard lights. Always drive to the posted speed. You must always keep a safe distance from forklifts and trucks. Make your presence known to forklift drivers as soon as you arrive on site. You should always be traveling at a safe distance between yourself and other moving vehicles. Report any issues or incidences right away to management. Loading and unloading in ETL yards. In order to be unloaded, you must give your keys to the forklift driver or leave them hanging in the door lock. To be unloaded, you must isolate the loading and loading zones around your truck by erecting cones with bars. It is your responsibility as a driver to set them up. If using a curtain sider, your curtains need to be secure so the poles don't become hazards. Forklift drivers can refuse to unload or load you if you aren't following the safety procedures. Other site rules. On entry and exit to all sites, wait for the gates to close before proceeding. Toot at blind corners. When on foot, keep to walkways. Wear PPE, high-vis and safety boots. Always be aware of moving vehicles and forklifts. And follow the traffic flow. Be aware of forklifts and keep to the 3-meter rule. And be mindful of others. Don't be afraid to speak up if you see something unsafe. Visitors on site. Looking after our visitors and contractors. Visitors must always sign in and be supervised by a staff member. Visitors must wear PPE if they are moving about our sites, although it's not required for an office visit. Contractors must be inducted and must be aware and follow our safety rules. No children may enter our yards. No pets at all are allowed on site. And passengers are only allowed with the permission of management. It's important that our people have the right attitude and take on the right practices when working in the workplace. Remember, you can't hurt a truck or a car, but you can hurt a person. You should always wear your protective equipment. It's there for you. Always follow safety rules and processes in place. They're there for your safety. Always be aware of what is around you, particularly when working around trucks and moving cars and forklifts. Be aware of trip hazards and watch your footing. Loads of accidents are caused by slips and trips and falls. Always be rested and ready for work. Don't use your mobile phones or devices when operating machinery and forklifts. Definitely no headphones. Don't get complacent around the dangers around you. Remember, always report accidents and incidents immediately. Be a leader in health and safety. Look out for you and your mate. Remember, your action or inaction cannot harm yourself or anyone else. Customer sites and inductions. Some of our customers have very site-specific safety instructions. You should check with the customers before entering their sites to make sure you don't need any special or specific inductions. When visiting a client site, make sure to follow their safety rules and processes and procedures. If they don't have any, then follow ETL safety procedures. On selected sites, you may need to drive their forklift. Seek permission from the customer before using any equipment, and you must have the relevant OSH certificate to do this, as an F endorsement may not be enough. What to do when an incident happens. To report incidents, we use a health and safety program called VAULT. You are contractually required to report all incidents, accidents, or injury within 24 hours. All incidents entered are reviewed by a health and safety and compliance manager. Incidents are reviewed by management, and corrective actions are signed off. You should expect to receive feedback on any injury or near miss reported. For more information, you can see your health and safety rep or manager. Health and safety notice board. Important information about new procedures, hazards, and emergency team are located on the notice board of every lunchroom. Near miss? What is a near miss? A near miss is something that could have caused an accident, but it did not. It is a documented event where property damage, injury, or illness could have occurred, but did not. Here are some examples of a sort of worksite near miss. Speeding vehicles through our worksites or yards. Not wearing PPE. Not wearing a seatbelt. Untidy sites or vehicles. Fire extinguishers or other equipment not secured. Vehicle or traffic violations. Faulty equipment or test expired, such as a COF. Procedural errors, not following company policies or procedures. General public working into our sites and yards. Vehicles going against the traffic flow, such as the wrong way. And storage of equipment on vehicles. Report near misses in VAULT and record it as a near miss. Health and safety, reps and committee. Health and safety representatives are a mix of volunteers and appointed staff from various roles who raise your concerns either on your behalf or anonymously. Representatives are your voice at the Health and Safety Committee. How to get involved in health and safety. Join our Health and Safety Committee. Make sure to report all hazards. Make sure to report all near misses. Lead by example. The committee meets every 90 days and a copy of the minutes are up on the notice board, so make sure to check those out if you want to be involved. Returning to work after an injury. Emmerson Transport has a return to work policy that is used in conjunction with a company doctor, so you may be asked to see a doctor following a workplace accident. You are required to report any accident that will impact your ability to work, even if it's an injury that didn't happen at work. We will work with ACC, your doctor, and the occupational therapist. Communication is the key. Permits. Many of our routes are subject to HPMV permits, which allows the truck to carry extra weight or length on the road. These will vary from route to route and are specific to a truck and trailer. You'll need to carry these HPMV permits with you in your truck, as these must be presented to the police on request. You must not be overweight on your axles or breach any of the requirements of the permit. If in doubt, ask. These are tricky to manage. Office bound, you also have risks. Manage OOS or occupational overuse syndrome by making sure your workstation is ergonomically set up. See our health and safety team for assistance on this. Take regular breaks from your computer. Be aware of eye strain. Manage your workload and stress levels. Be aware of trip hazards. Ergonomics also applies to driving. On-the-job digital training. At Emmerson Transport, we have a number of programs that we use to help us do our day-to-day activity. These are eRoad, TimeFiler, and VWorks. You'll be given more training in the cab on how to use these apps. Benefits to employees. Emmerson Transport has a couple of benefits for employees. One of them is EPA services. This is an employee assistance program which offers confidential counseling to you for free. Should you have issues you wish to talk to somebody about, work-related or not, the service is free. ETL also has Southern Cross health insurance. Once you've been working here for 3 months, you can add yourself or add your family members at a subsidized cost. If you would like more information about either of these, please talk to your manager. Remember, we all work together like a big family, and we want to make sure that you get home safely at the end of the day.